Inside Airtel Cloud, architecture, market fit, and the challenges ahead. There's a reason enterprise leaders have stopped asking whether they need cloud. The only question now is how fast they can move. And in Airtel's case, the move wasn't gradual. It wasn't optional. It was urgent. This wasn't a bet on a trend. It was a response to growing pressure of scale, of complexity, and of market demand. For Airtel, cloud wasn't a strategic experiment. It was a strategic pivot. The shift didn't start in a boardroom. It started in the trenches inside 22 circles, across a portfolio of disjointed systems powering mobility, broadband, DTH, payments, and content. Each business line had its own infrastructure, its own operational rhythm. It worked until it didn't. With daily transactions approaching 2 trillion and the customer base scaling rapidly toward 500 million, Airtel recognized the urgency to evolve. The fragmented architecture, while still operational, wouldn't hold up to the scale that was clearly on the horizon. And it wasn't just the internal sprawl. Airtel's delivery model was inherently multi-channel, serving retail, enterprise, and direct-to-consumer segments across hyperlocal markets. Each one came with its own set of compliance expectations, performance needs, and integration challenges. The result? A legacy stack that was being stretched from all sides. What followed wasn't a surface-level tech refresh. It was a full-scale re-architecture. Airtel began consolidating its siloed technology layers into a unified, horizontal platform. Critical systems billing, CRM, customer care, and customer journeys were moved onto its own cloud infrastructure. But this wasn't just about tech realignment. It was about building for sovereignty, for responsiveness, and for cost predictability. This pivot also mirrored a wider shift in enterprise cloud strategy. Compliance has gone from checkbox to architecture driver. AI is moving from pilot to production. Global CIOs are asking harder questions about observability, control, and lock-in. According to Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025, 74% of Indian CIOs are doubling down on cloud-native adoption to support AI and data-led operations. 62% cite hybrid observability as their top technical concern. And 58% now face direct board-level mandates to manage cloud costs more aggressively. Perhaps most telling, 47% are actively reconsidering their reliance on global hyperscalers driven not by ideology, but by policy, performance, and sovereignty. Per Greyhound Field Notes, the trend is consistent. Enterprise buyers are seeking platforms grounded in operational reality. Airtel's internal-first cloud deployment tested at scale before hitting the market offers a rare example of credibility by design. Of course, this transformation didn't unfold without friction. Technical debt, cultural inertia, the complexity of re-platforming live services. Airtel had to navigate all of it. What helped was its unique position, ownership of its fiber, data centers, and network stack. That level of control gave Airtel a runway most enterprises don't have. For others looking to follow this path, success will depend on understanding where Airtel had leverage and where they'll need to find their own. Greyhound standpoint. Airtel's cloud transformation wasn't built for a pitch deck. It was built with urgency by a business anticipating the scale and complexity that lay ahead and determined to stay ahead of it. The result isn't just a cloud migration. It's a blueprint for how Indian enterprises can shift from fragmented legacy systems to cloud-native resilience without losing control. At Greyhound Research, we evaluate such transformations through our distributed enterprise blueprint. It's not a checklist, it's a lens, one built around 5 principles. Distributed decision-making, pushing authority to the edge where speed matters most. Distributed data ownership, balancing local control with global insight. Distributed workflows and automation, powered by modular systems and AI agents. Distributed governance and risk, embedded in the fabric, not bolted on after the fact. Distributed technology stack, federated, composable, and architected to resist lock-in. Seen through this lens, Airtel's cloud journey is more than a tech upgrade. It's an operating model reset, one designed to scale across business lines, markets, and compliance regimes. Not every enterprise will walk the same path, but every enterprise should be asking the same question. Are we building cloud as infrastructure or as strategy? Building Airtel Cloud, tailored for India, engineered for scale. When Airtel set out to rebuild its digital core, it didn't start with a hyperscaler shortlist or a cost benchmark. It started with a harder question. If we had to build cloud for ourselves at our scale, on our terms, what would it look like? The answer didn't arrive as a migration plan. It arrived as a redesign. Not cloud as capacity, cloud as control. Today, Airtel Cloud runs as a full-scale telco-grade platform, one built to carry the weight of one of India's most complex and high-volume digital enterprises. Spread across 14 major data centers and more than 120 edge locations, all deeply embedded into Airtel's own fiber network. This isn't a stitched-together stack. It's been architected for low latency, regional proximity, and operational continuity. Internally, Airtel now runs 90% of its infrastructure on its own cloud. 80% of it is virtualized, 20% containerized. These aren't experiments, they're business-critical systems. Workloads spanning telco apps, surveillance, HRMS, and data platforms are consolidated under a single, horizontal architecture, one built to unify what was once fragmented across mobility, broadband, payments, and DTH. The metrics make the point. 2 trillion transactions processed every day, 80,000 recharges per minute, 2.5 billion calls, and 1 billion messages handled daily. Behind it all, 10,000 plus physical servers, 4,000 plus databases, 600 plus network and security devices, and over 250 petabytes of storage. The platform is designed for real workload diversity, from SaaS and DevOps native applications to regulated systems and large-scale analytics. Observability, billing, orchestration, privileged access, incident response, it's all embedded. And the catalog is growing. CDN, disaster recovery, data mover appliances for high-volume migrations. Integrated with OEMs like Dell, NetApp, Arista, Fortinet, Trellix, and Zabbix, this is a full-service stack, not parts list. And this isn't just about feature parity. It's about building security and sovereignty into the design. Data encryption is default at rest and in transit. Access is role-governed. Threat intelligence is active and adaptive. Real-time attacker profiling adds another layer of defensive insight. Compliance isn't a retrofit, it's table stakes. The platform is MITE-Y and Cert-IN aligned and certified against ISO/IEC 27001, ISO 22301, PCI DSS, and more. Uptime, 99.99%, backed by geo-redundant zones. Infrastructure, TI 942 certified. Still, Airtel's structural advantage is real. It owns the network. It owns the fiber. It owns the stack. That unlocks a level of performance, cost predictability, and proximity most providers can't offer. But it also introduces a new question. How portable is this for external enterprises? Can it interoperate? Can it abstract? Can it flex across hybrid environments? This is where Airtel Cloud's next horizon begins. For enterprises running hybrid and multi-cloud strategies, orchestration matters. Tooling matters. But does abstraction, particularly for those managing compliance-heavy workloads, latency-sensitive apps, or edge-first deployments? Airtel's platform is being evaluated precisely for this. Its ability to support those use cases without forcing trade-offs in observability or control. As per Greyhound Field Notes, Airtel Cloud is gaining traction with 3 distinct enterprise profiles: organizations in regulated industries, those pursuing hybrid cost strategies, and those that prioritize data residency or real-time edge workloads. But what they're also asking, often explicitly, is this: can a platform support modern DevSecOps pipelines? Can it support full-stack AI deployments? Can it keep pace with hyperscalers on developer experience, modularity, and integration depth? These aren't hypothetical questions. According to Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025, 69% of Indian enterprise architects now prioritize cloud platforms that can deliver infrastructure control, observability, and compliance in one motion. Airtel's value proposition, security first, hybrid ready, and vertically integrated, is directly aligned with that expectation. But the gap between infrastructure and experience still needs bridging. Developer enablement will be key. Greyhound's standpoint: Airtel Cloud isn't a repackaged infrastructure layer. It's a platform that's been tested in one of the most operationally complex environments in the country. Its strength lies in federation, control, and telco-grade scale. And through the lens of the Greyhound Distributed Enterprise Blueprint, it maps clearly to 4 key pillars: distributed data ownership, embedded governance, workflow adaptability, and technology federation. But the 5th dimension, which is developer experience, is still in motion. Airtel's opportunity now is to move beyond infrastructure strength and become a true platform partner. That means deeper abstraction, more modularity, greater openness. If Airtel can close that loop, it won't just compete in the cloud market. It will redefine how it's built, governed, and scaled for India. Internal wins: Airtel Cloud in action. For any enterprise-grade platform, Internal use is the first proving ground. For Airtel, it was the crucible. Before offering Airtel Cloud to the market, the company had to run it at full tilt under real conditions, in live environments, with zero margin for error. And the results? They weren't just impressive, they were instructive. Let's start with speed. Between 2018 and 2024, Airtel reduced its application delivery time by 75%. Monthly app releases jumped from 5 to over 50, a tenfold increase. But this isn't just an output metric. It marks a cultural shift from sporadic rollouts to continuous delivery, from bottlenecks to pipelines. Faster deployments meant tighter feedback loops, faster fixes, and a dramatically improved customer experience. Reliability followed, not in the theoretical sense, but in the way customers experience it. Airtel tracked not just uptime, but customer journeys end-to-end. By 2024, the number of journeys operating below 99% reliability had dropped by more than 80%. Meanwhile, the platform's use of AI-driven remediation surged. Infrastructure tickets that once required manual triage now auto-resolve at scale. Governance didn't just improve, it automated. And then came the financial result. Airtel's IT costs, as a percentage of total revenue, dropped by 75% over 4 years, landing at just 1.4%, a figure well below industry benchmarks. The company now operates at just 10 to 20% of the IT cost benchmark of peer telcos. But this wasn't achieved through cost-cutting. It came from collapsing complexity, from horizontal scaling, from cloud-native thinking baked into the architecture. These aren't just Airtel wins. They're enterprise signals. According to Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025, 73% of CIOs are under pressure to simultaneously accelerate delivery and reduce infrastructure spend. Airtel's internal performance reflects this very equation: speed and savings without compromise. It's not theory, it's operating proof. That said, internal success isn't a proxy for universal readiness. Airtel had the benefit of control over its infra, its governance layers, its stakeholder incentives. That's a luxury most enterprise buyers don't have. So the question is no longer, does it work? The question is, can it work for us? For CIOs considering Airtel Cloud, the real test lies in translation. Can the same orchestration, observability, and automation be made consumable by teams outside Airtel? Can the platform offer the same velocity and cost control in more federated, partner-driven environments? Per Greyhound Field Notes, this is now a top priority for buyers. Cloud isn't just being evaluated for feature parity, it's being judged on its ability to deliver measurable business outcomes. In conversations with CFOs and boards, the focus has shifted from capability to credibility. Can the provider show its math? Can they connect platform performance to operational outcomes? Greyhound's standpoint: Airtel Cloud's internal track record doesn't just validate the platform, it strengthens its market case. It's not a hypothetical offering. It's a system built under pressure, scaled internally, and now made visible to external buyers. Through the lens of the Greyhound Distributed Enterprise Blueprint, these internal wins show clear strength across distributed workflows, risk reduction by design, and cloud-native cost control. But the next test is replication. Airtel's challenge and opportunity is to turn these internal capabilities into packaged, modular, and portable assets, so that every enterprise, regardless of size or structure, can unlock similar results without needing Airtel's footprint to do it. Taking it to market, commercializing Airtel Cloud. Internal validation gave Airtel Cloud its confidence. External adoption will define its credibility. For years, India's enterprise cloud conversation has been dominated by hyperscalers, global platforms with deep pockets, deep abstraction, and little local nuance. Airtel's commercial entry challenges that dynamic, not by replicating it, but by reshaping the frame entirely. This isn't cloud as commodity. This is cloud as context. Airtel's go-to-market playbook isn't about chasing breadth. It's about leaning into specificity. Regulated sectors like financial services and healthcare. Government workloads with strict data residency mandates. Latency-heavy use cases in telecom, retail, and surveillance. In each of these, Airtel's architecture offers a native edge proximity, compliance alignment, and the ability to fine-tune for Indian operating conditions. But Airtel isn't just selling infrastructure. It's selling a decision framework. The same internal tools used to rationalize Airtel's own workloads, evaluating latency profiles, availability requirements, regulatory thresholds, and integration overhead, are now being shared with enterprise buyers. These aren't theoretical slides. They're live heuristics, built for migration experience, designed to de-risk cloud strategy. The result is a value proposition that hinges on three levers: sovereignty, performance, and cost predictability. Enterprises are invited to run their most sensitive workloads on a platform architected, operated, and certified in India. The economics are clear: flexible billing, minimal egress charges, and access to Airtel's own cloud analyzer offered at no cost, delivering usage insights across providers and highlighting areas of optimization. And the timing? Spot on. Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025 shows that 64% of Indian enterprises are now actively seeking local cloud alternatives that offer end-to-end support. Airtel's model responds directly: managed services, advisory depth, and operational transparency without the friction or opacity often associated with global players. But this isn't about undercutting the incumbents. It's about rewriting the terms. Airtel is positioning itself not as a generic IaaS vendor, but as a managed cloud partner, one that owns the stack and stand behind the outcomes. Migration support, observability, compliance alignment, all integrated, all local, all backed by a delivery engine of over 300 OE experts and 100+ certified professionals supported across Pune, Noida, and Bengaluru. Operations are hybrid by design, shared or dedicated, monitored 247, and aligned with ITIL standards. Still, the jump from internal use to market delivery brings new complexity. Enterprises outside Airtel's ecosystem will expect more visibility into roadmaps. They'll want clarity on third-party integrations, and they'll demand SLAs that reflect not just performance, but accountability. The cloud conversation has shifted from pricing tables to co-innovation frameworks. Per Greyhound field notes, CIOs now consistently ask two hard-edge questions: how future-proof is the platform, and can I build on top of it, not just inside it? The first wave of Airtel Cloud customers will likely come from brownfield migrations and compliance-triggered replatforming. But if Airtel wants to scale beyond that, it will need to sharpen its developer story, expand its ecosystem partnerships, and offer enterprise buyers the one thing they've struggled to get elsewhere: architectural transparency with operational control. Greyhound's standpoint: Airtel's commercial launch doesn't just fill a market gap, it reframes it. In a landscape split between overspecified hyperscalers and underpowered domestic players, Airtel Cloud offers something rare: performance with proximity, governance with granularity, and service without dilution. Viewed through the Greyhound distributed enterprise blueprint, Airtel's GTM model already lands on three fronts: data ownership, infrastructure locality, and cost-efficient delivery. But the next milestone won't come from market access. It will come from platform conviction. Airtel's ability to scale cloud as a co-created, extensible, lifecycle-aligned partner experience will determine whether this is just a product launch or a structural shift in India's enterprise cloud narrative. Strategic partnerships, collaborating with hyperscalers. In the early innings of India's cloud shift, the story was pitched as a binary: local telcos versus global hyperscalers. But that script no longer holds. The market has matured, so have the buyers, and so has the playbook. Today, the dominant model isn't displacement, it's coexistence. Hybrid architectures are now the norm. Multi-cloud is a design principle. Indian enterprises are building architectures that don't just split workloads, they optimize them across regulatory zones, performance layers, and risk thresholds. Airtel's strategy reflects this evolution. While it continues to commercialize its own cloud platform, Airtel has maintained and matured its partnerships with global hyperscalers AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. These aren't passive alliances. Airtel has actively co-developed network integration models, secure migration flows, and go-to-market programs with AWS and Azure across multiple industries. The focus? Clarity in architecture, speed in deployment, trust in execution. This dual posture isn't a hedge. It's the new reality. For many Indian enterprises, running mission-critical and compliance-bound workloads on sovereign infrastructure makes operational and policy sense. But that doesn't mean they're abandoning global platforms. Hyperscalers still provide the edge in analytics, AI model training, and international scalability. Airtel's willingness to support this hybridity, not override it, positions it as a credible orchestrator in an increasingly fragmented landscape. Greyhound CTO Pulse 2025 underscores this shift. Nearly 58% of enterprise CTOs now say they favor cloud partners who enable multi-cloud strategies without enforcing vendor lock-in. The message is clear: enterprises want optionality. Airtel is aligning accordingly. But Airtel also brings something few others can offer: infrastructure-level intimacy. Its control over fiber networks, 5G infrastructure, and edge nodes enables ultra-low latency and deterministic performance across regions. For workloads like video streaming, IoT telemetry, and real-time surveillance, this level of proximity is more than a technical feature. It's a competitive advantage. And increasingly, proximity, bandwidth efficiency, and secure orchestration aren't just enablers. They're prerequisites. That said, integration is no longer just a technical challenge. It's a strategic expectation. Enterprises now demand joint SLAs across providers. They expect policy harmonization, unified observability, and clear demarcation of control planes. For Airtel, the ability to simplify integration while retaining platform sovereignty will be the next measure of success. Per Greyhound Field Notes, CIOs are now reframing the telco cloud conversation. It's no longer just about extending compute. It's about enabling AI inference, powering distributed analytics, and orchestrating workloads at the edge. These aren't resale arrangements. They're the foundation for joint innovation. Greyhound's standpoint: Airtel's hyperscaler partnerships are not contradictions. They're acknowledgments of enterprise reality. No single cloud provider can serve every regulatory regime, performance envelope, or architecture constraint. Through the lens of the Greyhound Distributed Enterprise Blueprint, Airtel's dual-mode strategy strengthens three key pillars: distributed decision-making, edge-ready delivery, and orchestrated cloud control. But the next milestone won't be coexistence, it'll be co-creation. If Airtel can extend these partnerships from tactical alignment to joint innovation, it won't just be integrating platforms. It'll be setting the standard for multi-cloud fluency at enterprise scale. Financial impact: from cost center to revenue driver. Cloud has long been pitched as a tool for reducing infrastructure spend. But for Airtel, the ambition goes further. The question isn't just what can we save? It's what can we unlock? This isn't about expense compression. It's about turning architecture into advantage. The internal benefits came first. Airtel's IT costs as a percentage of total revenue dropped by 75% over 4 years, landing at just 1.4%, a figure well below industry benchmarks. These savings didn't come from shortcuts. They came from simplification. Duplicate systems were collapsed. Legacy stacks were retired. Critical workloads were shifted onto a common platform. With fewer handoffs, leaner release cycles, and shared tooling, Airtel didn't just cut costs. It rebalanced its operating model. But that was only phase one. Today, Airtel Cloud is no longer a support function. It's a monetizable asset. While standalone revenue figures haven't been published yet, early adoption from regulated enterprises and public sector workloads points to growing commercial momentum. This isn't a speculative roadmap. It's a market signal. Airtel Cloud is moving from cost optimization to external monetization. Its financial thesis rests on three levers. Operating leverage: because the infrastructure already exists, onboarding external clients carries minimal incremental cost. That means every additional workload improves gross margin. TCO advantage: Airtel's ownership of fiber, bandwidth, and edge infrastructure allows it to price competitively, especially on bundled services and egress charges. Sovereignty premium: for highly regulated sectors like BFSI, pharma, and government, Airtel's full-stack control and local compliance alignment command a premium. This model diverges sharply from hyperscaler economics. Where they sell scale, Airtel sells control. Where they monetize lock-in, Airtel monetizes trust. Greyhound CFO Pulse 2025 validates this pivot. 61% of enterprise CFOs are now involved in cloud buying and are actively prioritizing platforms that deliver not just cost visibility, but cost flexibility. Egress control: infrastructure reuse, bundle services. Airtel Cloud checks all three boxes. There's another edge as well: reversibility. As cloud costs rise and regulatory frameworks shift, cloud repatriation is becoming a real option for many enterprises. Airtel's platform supports this reality. It gives customers the ability to pull workloads back without penalty, without disruption. For CIOs planning beyond the next quarter, that's more than flexibility. That's architectural sovereignty. Still, the road from infra platform to growth engine isn't automatic. To scale, Airtel will need to invest aggressively and intelligently. That means building sales muscle, equipping partners, deepening the developer ecosystem, packaging services in ways that are predictable and plug-in ready. The margin profile may look attractive on paper, but only if CAC, onboarding friction, and service delivery overhead are kept under control. Airtel knows this. Its own internal journey highlights the full cost stack, including ops overhead, platform training, DevOps staffing, and support resourcing. These lessons have now been hard-coded into Airtel's enterprise playbooks, so customers get cost transparency beyond just line items. Per Greyhound field notes, the shift is already happening. Enterprise buyers are judging cloud platforms not on pricing alone, but on the downstream costs of doing business. Integration complexity, team onboarding, partner alignment, support maturity. Airtel's internal efficiency is compelling, but the external opportunity will depend on how well it manages complexity at the edge, across APIs, SLAs, and ecosystem dynamics. Greyhound standpoint. Airtel Cloud has already proven its value as an internal lever for cost control, but its future lies in external monetization. The fundamentals are there: operating leverage, infra-level advantage, and policy fit pricing. But monetization at scale requires more than infrastructure. It requires platform extensibility, developer alignment, partner co-creation. Through the lens of the Greyhound Distributed Enterprise Blueprint, the commercial opportunity for Airtel will be realized only when its cloud moves from a system of delivery to a platform for innovation. That's where the real multiplier lies. What's next? Expanding the Airtel Cloud vision. Airtel Cloud has cleared its first milestones: internal validation, commercial traction, and architecture at scale. But the next chapter will be harder, because now it's not just about showing that the platform works. It's about showing that it can evolve. In the current market, relevance doesn't come from uptime metrics or cost baselines. It comes from adaptability, how quickly a platform can stretch to meet new enterprise realities. Airtel's ability to compete will now hinge on 4 vectors: sovereignty, intelligence, developer experience, and ecosystem orchestration. First, sovereign cloud is no longer a compliance box. It's a strategic priority. Airtel already meets Indian data residency mandates and aligns with global benchmarks. But the real opportunity lies in designing purpose-built environments for government, public sector, and critical infrastructure workloads. With its control over physical infra, fiber, and the cloud stack itself, Airtel has the credibility to build for this moment, especially as India sharpens its focus on digital public goods and sovereign technology assets. Second, AI enablement is no longer optional. Airtel has already embedded Gen AI provisioning into its self-service platform, offering enterprises the ability to spin up voice-assisted infrastructure with pre-configured AI stacks. These aren't gimmicks, they're time-to-value tools. As AI deployments move from demo to production, the demands will deepen. GPU orchestration, low-latency inference, scalable MLOps pipelines, and embedded observability. Airtel's challenge will be to support all of it without breaking the pricing model. In parallel, Airtel is also expanding its support for SaaS and PaaS layers, especially in areas like analytics, observability, and productivity. Microsoft 365, Tableau, Redshift, these are no longer standalone tools. They're now endpoints within larger digital blueprints. Airtel Cloud value will be measured by how cleanly it integrates them into enterprise workflows. Third, developer experience is now make or break. Tooling matters. Pipelines matter. Airtel's current stack includes modular services and observability, but expectations are rising fast. Enterprise buyers want CI/CD pipelines that are opinionated but flexible, GitOps native workflows, sandbox testbeds, and plug-and-play SDKs. Developer satisfaction is no longer a side metric. It's the foundation of platform stickiness. The balancing act? Increase abstraction without surrendering control. Fourth, Airtel's long-term differentiator will come from ecosystem orchestration. Platform maturity isn't about the size of the cloud footprint. It's about who's building on it. Airtel will need to attract ISVs, MSPs, open-source integrators, and enterprise SaaS vendors who can extend the platform horizontally. That means sharing roadmaps, publishing APIs, and offering documentation that's built for builders, not just admins. Greyhound field notes confirm what's coming. Enterprise CTOs are no longer shopping for infrastructure. They're looking for co-architecture partners, platforms that offer not just uptime, but collaborative momentum. Trust will come not just from SLAs, but from transparency. Not just from performance, but from participation. Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025 backs this up. 67% of CIOs now prioritize platforms with 3 attributes: mature AI operations, credible developer tooling, and strong third-party ecosystems. Airtel's ability to deliver all 3 will define whether it becomes a leader or just another local alternative. Greyhound standpoint. Airtel Cloud has moved beyond proof of concept. What it needs next is platform conviction. Through the lens of the Greyhound Distributed Enterprise Blueprint, Airtel has a line of sight to all 5 dimensions: distributed data ownership, developer composability, federated automation, governance by design, and multi-tenant orchestration. But to get there, it must evolve from infrastructure to ecosystem. This isn't about hosted services anymore. It's about building a platform that accelerates innovation, anchors partnerships, and embeds itself into the enterprise growth agenda. The CXO Playbook: what technology decision-makers should consider when engaging with Airtel Cloud. Choosing a cloud platform isn't just a technical evaluation. It's a strategic alignment exercise. For CIOs, CTOs, and enterprise architects considering Airtel Cloud, the decision needs to go deeper than SLAs and TCO. It's about architectural fit, operational readiness, and platform evolution. Below are 10 checkpoints to frame the engagement, not just with Airtel Cloud as a provider, but as a long-term platform partner. 1/start with the workload. Airtel Cloud is purpose-built for latency-sensitive, compliance-heavy workloads, financial services, healthcare, telecom, and government-led systems. If your environment is constrained by data residency, this is where to start. 2/evaluate the edge advantage. Airtel's cloud isn't abstracted from its network, it's fused into it. That means real performance benefits in environments where fiber, 5G, and edge nodes are non-negotiable. Airtel's advantage is clearest where telco-grade integration matters. 3/test the developer fit. Airtel is investing in developer experience, but it still trails hyperscalers on composability, pipeline automation, and SDK breadth. Teams with intensive DevOps or AI or ML workflows should assess readiness early, especially for CI/CD depth and API flexibility. For /map the boundaries. Native observability, orchestration, and security are well covered. But extensibility, especially across multi-cloud environments, may need validation. Know where the Airtel stack ends and where your own begins. 5/align compliance expectations. Airtel meets Indian regulatory standards with full ISO/PCI coverage. But if you operate under frameworks like GDPR, HIPAA, or SOC2, dig deeper. Don't assume alignment, confirm it. 6/understand day 2 operations. Airtel's internal track record is solid, but external SLAs, escalation workflows, and 247 support delivery should be independently validated. Reliability at scale is different outside the firewall. 7/model your costs, not just your quotes. Airtel supports PYG and fixed models, with low egress and cloud analyzer access included. Use these tools to simulate multi-cloud usage patterns, not just line item pricing. 8/. Get roadmap visibility. AI, developer tooling, and observability are all evolving on the platform. Ensure you have direct lines to Airtel's tech leadership and visibility into what's shipping next. Roadmaps shape integration decisions. 9/treat the engagement as co-architecture. The greatest value will come not from a transactional lift and shift, but from strategic co-design. This is especially true for hybrid strategies, edge-native deployments, and AI stack orchestration. Final word: Greyhound Research perspective. Airtel's cloud story didn't begin as a product. It began as a problem. Faced with scale, complexity, and fragmentation, the company made a strategic decision not to buy cloud, but to build it. Not to outsource control, but to re-architect it. The result is not just a platform, it's a statement. Airtel Cloud was born out of operational necessity, engineered with architectural clarity, and shaped by market relevance. That origin matters, not because it sounds good in a case study, but because it explains everything that followed. The platform's structure, its obsession with integration over abstraction, its insistence on sovereignty, compliance, and service quality. This isn't opportunism. It's operations reimagined. But origin stories only go so far. As the enterprise cloud market evolves, the center of gravity is shifting. It's no longer just about where workloads run. It's about where innovation happens and how easily it travels. The new enterprise buyer isn't just asking, "Can I run here?" They're asking, "Can I build here? Can I scale without vendor friction? Can I govern across platforms? Can I evolve without rewriting my architecture every quarter?" These aren't infrastructure questions. They're ecosystem questions. And they're exactly where Airtel now has to compete. Through the lens of the Greyhound Distributed Enterprise Blueprint, Airtel Cloud shows strong fundamentals, especially in performance, data localization, and governance control. But its next chapter will depend on depth, developer composability, modular extensibility, and ecosystem integration. Because the enterprise buyer in 2025 is no longer looking for a vendor. They're looking for a cloud ally, one that understands local complexity, one that engages as a co-architect, one that shows up with skin in the game. Airtel has the foundation. Now, we must make the leap from internal architecture to external conviction. That's what will decide whether it becomes a category leader or just another capable alternative. Analyst in focus, Sanchit Veer Gogia. Sanchit Veer Gogia, or SVG as he is popularly known, is a globally recognized technology analyst, innovation strategist, digital consultant, and board advisor. SVG is the chief analyst, founder and CEO of Greyhound Research, a global, award-winning technology research, advisory, consulting, and education firm. Greyhound Research works closely with global organizations, their CXOs, and the board of directors on technology and digital transformation decisions. SVG is also the founder and CEO of the House of Greyhound, an eclectic venture focusing on interdisciplinary innovation. Copyright policy. All content contained on the Greyhound Research website is protected by copyright law and may not be reproduced, distributed, transmitted, displayed, published, or broadcast without the prior written permission of Greyhound Research, or, in the case of third-party materials, the prior written consent of the copyright owner of that content. You may not alter, delete, obscure, or conceal any trademark, copyright, or other notice appearing in any Greyhound Research content. We request our readers not to copy Greyhound Research content and not republish or redistribute them, in whole or partially, via emails or republishing them in any media, including websites, newsletters, or intranets. We understand that you may want to share this content with others, so we've added tools under each content piece that allow you to share the content. If you have any questions, please get in touch with our community relations team at connect@thoffer.com. Disclaimer. This research note has been developed by Greyhound Research in collaboration with Airtel Business. While this partnership supports broader industry awareness, Greyhound Research has maintained full editorial independence and control throughout the creation of this content. All insights, analysis, and recommendations reflect the views of Greyhound Research alone and have not been influenced by any external party. Please refer to the copyright policy above for full details on permitted usage. For questions, licensing requests, or media inquiries, contact our community relations team at connect@thoffer.com.